Get started. It's a couple minutes after 9 now. Go ahead before I call to order. Let's get a roll call of everybody who's here. So I'm gonna call your name. Just tell me if you're here or not. Mary Mar-
I'm here. I'm here.
Rick Hauser. Todd, I know you're here.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, Danny, you here? Okay, Emily, I know you're here.
Yes.
Bill, you online? Okay. Jackie, you here?
Jack just sent a text. She's running a little bit late, but we'll be here in a minute.
Okay. Lori, how about you? You're here?
Yeah.
Is anybody else here that we haven't mentioned? All right. Well, we'll go ahead then and call the meeting to order. I'm assuming that Rick and Daniel will join shortly. But I ask first off for approval of the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Approved.
A motion made. Is there a second? Hang on a second. See who this is.
Hey, this is Rick Hauser. Sorry for the delay.
Sorry, Rick. We just have a motion on the table for the approval of the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll second Mary
Is there a
Margaret.
second? All right, there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, since there's no opposal, we'll go ahead and pass the agenda. Let me go ahead and read the ethics statement to you. In accordance with General Statute 18B-201, it's the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of conflicts. Does any member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matters involved. All right, go on then to citizens' comments, and I don't think we have any citizens here, so we'll just move on to the financial report. Since Jackie hadn't gotten in yet, why don't we just wait, we'll kind of come back to that when we get a chance. Consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board regarding the consent agenda? Is that a motion from Rick?
Yeah, motion approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second. For Mary Margaret.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? All right. In that case, we'll move on to old business, and the first item up is continued discussion on the proposed remodel of the ABC store, in particular update from the store expansion renovation committee. So I guess I turn that over to Rick and Todd.
And Todd, I'll go first and just say that at our last meeting, we had hoped that we could all have a pretty clear direction of what we wanted to do as far as the Food Lion Shopping Center at this meeting. But naturally, the world's completely changed. I don't think anybody would be wanting to sign up for a 5-year lease right now. I'd like to maybe table this. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that I'm kind of convinced that we'll not be able to build a new store on that property and be able to operate out of the existing store just based on the zoning and how a new building on that site would have to be positioned. Do you agree with that, Bill?
I do agree with that. I think it would be very, very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the
I personally
we saw where we could continue to operate, the couple drawings that were shown where we could continue to operate, I think it would be pretty bad for business and make the parking even worse if they're in a construction zone trying to operate out of the sense that we just want to continue to operate while the construction goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for a long time best thing to do is just tear the building down and start over. So I think it would be difficult. With that all being said, do you want to make that as a motion to table this until our next meeting? Okay, motion's made to table this until our next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion at this point in time? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, I'm assuming then his motion has passed, so we'll move on to continued discussion on cash register system. I think, is Jackie here yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
here. Sorry, y'all. A little bit of technical difficulties this morning.
Quite all right, quite all right. Who wants to tell us about the register system?
I'll be honest, I want Todd, I would like to hear what Todd has to say first
Okay.
about his meeting.
Yeah, we met with Dalcom at the store earlier in March, and he was able to address a good amount of the issues that we were seeing at the store. There were some features that either weren't turned on or we hadn't trained the staff on, so there was a barrier, a gap there in what the system was capable of versus what it could do. So he did address a few of those things. Lori could speak better about what those were, some of the issues her and her staff was having, and he showed her, there were a couple light bulbs that clicked on that day. There are still some back-end reporting issues that the other system would make Jackie's job a whole lot easier. Another big issue that Lori had was the how we process the mixed sales to Fiesta Mexicana, and they it's just the way the system is designed, and the other system might be a little bit different, but it seems to me more of a language barrier gap there with the restaurant. There's an online ordering capability that we really, I think, should invest time in training the restaurant on how to use that to make the process easier. There's a function on there that we're just not using. So I do think there's pros and cons to both systems. This gentleman was also a salesman, just as the other gentleman, so they were both weighing, expressing their pros to their system and trying to downplay the cons and give some workarounds. So, I guess I would let Lori speak on how it's been. I know that there was some back and forth late last night between Jackie and Dalcom on the March financials, and I believe it all got resolved. I don't know how much of a headache was in between all of that, but
It was actually my
we're
issue.
good.
It was my issue this time. I was rushing and had not reconciled to March. He had asked me how it looked, and I was trying to get it done at the end of the day and hadn't reconciled the bank statements. I had double-checked everything, and one of the days of sales had been entered twice. So we are good, and they did match at month end.
yeah, I believe there are. He was very he definitely was very apologetic over how things have been handled previously. They've had some issues with staffing, I guess, with some people being out, him being out personally, and just the response wasn't what for his company expected. The ball was kind of dropped. He admitted that. So they are trying to make it right. I know Lori and Jackie would be able to talk about how much more, headache that causes them by what is caused now and what they're able to do. But from what I saw in that meeting, he was able to address most of the big bullet points that Lori requested. And I think a couple other of the issues we're having we could probably work around, but I don't want to speak for Lori or Jackie on that. But that's pretty much all I had. And if while Jackie or Lori are speaking, something else comes up, I'll come back and add that.
Great. Lori,
Lori.
what do you think about it?
I just want to state again that I spoke to Wesley in October, I'm guessing around the 23rd. I had to go back and look with some issues, and he had the same excuse then as he currently had. But also, as far as the mixed beverage, the main issue with the mixed beverage is it's far more difficult than it needs to be. It's with the other system, it's way more simple, where right now, it's either myself or my assistant manager that only do the mixed beverage because of just the way you have to do it. And also, when Todd was here, I talked to Wesley about, right now, if we do a mixed beverage sale, when they come in to pay for it, we have to, we pull up their order number and they pay for it with a credit card. Even after that step is done and it is paid and everything, you still have to go back in and remember to mark that as paid. It doesn't automatically do it as with the other system. And if you don't do that, it does not update inventory. It's many more steps involved than it needs to be, is a way a lot of the Dalcom system currently is. Some of the issues he addressed the morning Todd was here, he had worked on all night long per a phone conversation that me and him had on some stuff that I needed done. The capability of them being able to look up stock was added like within a couple days of him actually being here, and that's something that we've been asking for since October. And it still does kind of a projected number, not an exact number of inventory. One of my current, and this is an ongoing thing, and this is a big deal to me, is let's see where my notes are. I am still having codes. When I say codes, I mean item numbers of products that I have never carried that are appearing in my inventory list with stock. And he's currently not got back to me on how this is appearing. He can actually track, he says, to see when that code number was added, and right now I found, currently there's 7 of them. I gave him an example of one, and he looked that one up and said it was added on Sunday at 10:57 p.m. But that's all he could tell me, and he would look further into that. And I told him that, I said, obviously, that wasn't me. I'm pretty much asleep by 9:30. But I'm not allowed to do any, he asked me not to do anything remotely from my house, which is currently, that's kind of a pain, because a lot of stuff I do here to update the system or add products kicks the girls off the register. So, I try to get to work very early to try to take care of, everything I need to before we open. But to me, that's a very big deal, where I just have codes appearing with stock that we don't even carry, and it's kind of frustrating that somebody can just do that. And it's not making any sense. We're still having issues with the credit card system locking up. One of the girls called yesterday and was on the phone over an hour trying to get the credit card systems working again. Let's see. Credit cards. There's a bottle report that it took them until November 19th to actually add, but it is still not working correctly, and I informed Wesley about that also the day that Todd was here, and that is still not working correctly. Let's see. We're still having issues with prices changing by themselves. Like if something's on sale, it'll jump back to the non-sale price. Don't really have an explanation for that. They haven't said. Let's see what else. That's some of the things.
You override that when you enter an order? You're going to override when a price change? When you get a price change like that, they key it in, and it shows it's not on sale. Are you having to override that every time?
We have to call them and have them
call
correct
them,
it.
you can't just override it yourself?
No, we have to call them and have them correct that. Before, I could, with the system we had before, I could do all of that. Most everything in the system we had before, I could do almost everything without having to call them. Right now I have to rely on them for everything. And I told Wesley when I talked to him on the phone about the inventory, I told him, I said that this is just crazy. I said, I don't want anybody being able to access my inventory, and that's I'm actually kind of really worried about that. So, as far as Jackie goes, I think Todd, I'm not sure, he can validate that. I think Todd asked Wesley when he was here how much more it would be to have QuickBooks added, and I'm not sure what that figure was, but I do know with the other system, the QuickBooks was already included, and he was adding online mixed beverage to that. And I spoke to Lewisburg last week and a couple other stores, and I see Franklinton at least once a week, and they're still happy with that system. So, if Jackie wants to add anything, go for it.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in the system, which makes me weary of everything.
Yeah.
I don't know that right now is the right time to even be thinking about changing software, to be honest.
We have made a lot of profit to say tell them they're crazy.
But then, I mean, like, trying to get people in to change software, and if it doesn't work, and the whole, like, there's 50 thing and not thing, you know what I mean? Like, that's a whole can of worms if something goes wrong that I don't think that currently is a good time to try and work through that. I would, just my gut, like with the amount of sales that we're doing, so I'll tell you, I've got sales in for March so far, and we did, hold on, how did I take a call? Basically, March was more money than December.
Hey, this is Rick. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick, go ahead.
Hey, Jackie, I think I want to say this. I've been concerned the last couple months about our gross profit. With the increase in sales year over year, and that gross profit just, like, we grew $100,000 in sales, and our gross profit only went up $6,000. So I know there's got to be some kind of problem in there, and I don't know if it's duplicated sales. We take the sales out, but we don't take the sold inventory out too. I'm like you. I'm starting to have a little breakdown in confidence that the system is providing us with the information that we need. Now, with that being said, I certainly don't think that we need to buy anything this fiscal year until we get the money that we owe the town from last year's distribution paid off. We're just not going to have any profit, to justify that. But and I want to be sure that we do our best on a cost-benefit analysis as far as making sure that Dalcom is not going to come back later and say we owe them X number of dollars because we got out of a contract. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I agree completely.
There isn't a contract. It's a license agreement, and that's already been prepaid, and that is renewed every year. So, I mean, just
when is that renewed, Mark?
Yeah.
I assume October when we first install the system.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jackie, maybe what you ought to be doing when you're preparing the budget for next year is kind of factor this in, and let's see what it looks like and take a better decision.
Okay.
If we're spinning our wheels trying to deal with this every month, it's not a cost savings to us at all. It's no improvement to our bottom line, and that's where we got to look at it.
Hey, well, Lori, could you summarize all those items that you don't feel were addressed yet in a email to Wesley and copy myself and Jackie on that?
Yes.
Because I don't know that he was, I know all his stuff, that stuff was like written in and you delivered it to him in a note that day, and, paper. So I just want to make sure he didn't misplace that or he has everything we still want to.
No, he actually, that note I gave him, he actually didn't want to take it with him one of my clerks had insisted that he take it. And he prefers talking on the phone more than email, and
I would agree with that. He's called me a couple of times. He called me last night, and granted, it was my error this time, but he called me last night about 6:30, and I was like, okay, right now, I'm done. I'm not going to talk on the phone tonight. Like, I need you to email me and tell me the reason.
yeah, I like the email because it has him on the record, because a lot of times he says stuff different on the phone, and I got stuck on the phone 3 hours with him on a Sunday, you know, and it's just, I don't know, I mean, very frustrating.
Yeah, I would summarize it all in email and just let him know that you want a record of what we're having him work on and a date and a timestamp on it. Just you can CC me and Jackie on there, and we can intervene as necessary.
Okay.
Great idea.
I have a question, Lori, is there, have you created trouble? Because I know Dalcom has a trouble ticketing issue, and I know that Jackie's created at least 1 or 2 tickets, and every time that those issues are updated, either on our end or on Dalcom's end, that those parties whose emails are associated with trouble tickets actually receive updates, whatever the message is. Have you created trouble tickets in their system for all these issues, or is it just a list that you have on paper, or?
Some of it is a list I have on paper that Wesley took with him. But I have tried to get tickets sometimes when we call for issues like the credit card machine going down and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we'll get you that," but then they don't get that. Or like yesterday, the clerk, she forgot to ask for the ticket because, you know, we had customers in here and we were trying to get the system back up. So we don't always get a ticket when we call. And
So you can't create a ticket yourself, is that right?
no, yeah, I cannot do it myself.
Okay. Jackie, so did you, when you created your tickets, did you have to call in as well, or were you able to somehow to
No, I
ticket
sent
on
an
your-
email to support. As
Got
soon as you send an email to their support, I think it generates a ticket number. There may not more. I understand you're calling in. The ticket response time, like once you send an email to support, I think it's probably like it's an automated message, so it's probably like 5 minutes.
Right.
If you could wait, I know you probably can't most of the time, but if you could wait, send the support ticket, send the support email, wait for that response on that ticket, and then you have a ticket number to then call in and talk to them about.
well, I can do that with that list that Todd wants. As far as my report still not working right, and you know, the other issues, I'll just email support and start from there.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, the credit card or something like that that's immediate, I mean, they're gonna still have to call for that, but
Yeah. But they should be, you know, you should also be having them document their phone calls. I don't care if it's on a scratch piece of paper that's right next to the register.
I agree, and I have asked that, yes. But there's,
If they're not good at them, at it, tell them that this is their way to a new system.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Lori, if you don't mind, I'd like to meet with you just for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whenever you have time. I just haven't gone through difficult implementations before, software implementations. The trouble ticketing process and the dispute resolution process when it comes to issues is very important to document. And so I've done that before, and I think that if we set up a good framework for, you know, let's say we do like an online spreadsheet or something like that, that Todd can access and I can access and Dalcom can access because, you know, their trouble ticketing system's not working for us. Maybe we should need to go to something like that to facilitate the communication of these issues, because I feel that a lot of them, they're just not aware of, or they're not acting, you know, in an appropriate amount of time, and a more organized flow of information might help us hold them accountable for that.
Okay.
I did have one other question, which is, do you have a copy of that license agreement that you mentioned? Is it possible for you to send it to me so I can review it and or have the town attorney review it?
Yeah, it's in an email, yeah.
I have it. I'll send it.
Jackie has it, so.
Okay, thank you. And then I just wanted to respond to your concern, Rick. I do agree that we need to make sure that the system is reporting the correct data. I do also, we converted after the end of the fiscal year, but just know that at the end of the fiscal year, the auditors are going to identify any material misstatements in our financial statements. So rest assured that at the end of the day, we're going to have financial statements that are free of material misstatements, whether or not the auditors, have to, fix them or not. But just know that at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons for the independent audit. And at the end of the day, we'll have good financial data at the end of the year.
Sure. And,
Rick,
I wanted to suggest that when you guys engage the audit firm this year is to make them aware of those issues so they can be on the lookout for it, Jack.
Yeah. Yes. And I will also say, like, the numbers that you're seeing coming out of QuickBooks, that matches the cash that we're receiving. So, I mean, our bank statements are balanced and all of that is accurate. So, I know that those sales numbers are accurate. And I have now been, and that's part of my double check at the end of the month, is to confirm the sales report that's coming out of the POS software matches the cash received inside of QuickBooks on both sales tax and, total sales. So I have been double checking that. My fear will be that it is not, it's related to inventory. And I guess, Lori, I know you're doing a physical count on inventory, but how do you come up with what your inventory number is? Is that coming out of the POS software?
Yes, and a lot of it, transmittals, what we receive from the warehouse and, what we have on hand, and that's how, one way, and I print out a full item list often and save it, and I'm trying to catch any numbers that don't seem to be doing correctly and contacting Wesley about it. That's how I'm finding inventory that, okay, we don't even carry this, and there says we have 24 bottles. How did this get here? So that's, it's just about an everyday thing is what I have been doing with inventories since October.
Okay, so I have just kind of thinking outside. If we took, do we have like an item list and a price list from the ABC local board or the ABC commission? Like, is that in Excel somewhere? Could we get it in Excel somewhere?
You can get that right off the ABC commission website.
So if we took that, and I know this is a pain, but if we went down, basically took that list, and then went down like a physical count sheet, right?
That's what I already do that.
And do you put it in Excel and I'll let Excel calculate the value to compare the inventory numbers for what comes out of the POS software and what you're actually getting? When
I go down to physical count list and then I add them, it goes into the handheld scanner and goes into the Dalcom system. And then it shows what your variances are.
Okay.
It's not the most simplified inventory thing I've ever done, but I mean, that's the issues where I'm watching the numbers and everything because, just some things don't make sense, and then, that's what Wesley is supposedly working on, and like I said, I'm still waiting on him to get back to me on some of the things that are, going on with that, so, because it bothers me a great deal about the inventory, so I'm very much dreading the audit. I've never dreaded an audit before. It's like now it's like, oh my God. But anyway.
Let me ask a question. Wesley, is he the sales rep or is he an engineer with Dalcom?
He was a sales rep, I believe, back in September, October. He's now the chief operations officer. I don't know how much of the actual work he is doing, but he's supposed to be overseeing all of that.
He made a comment to me on the phone that, you know, all this stuff I'm doing for you all is not even stuff that I'm supposed to have to do anymore, and, you know, stuff like that. And it's like, and he, I don't know, he throws everything on his text, but honestly, his texts are, I mean, when we get them on the phone, they go above and beyond trying to help. I mean, so I don't really know what the issue is with.
So what I'm getting to is, you know, Jackie, you did a ticket to the support email, correct?
Mm-hmm.
When you had an issue.
Yes.
Okay. And then did they resolve that issue quickly that way?
Yes, they tend to respond to my issues fairly quickly. Wesley,
Okay,
I
yeah.
think Wesley is like tagged on us right now, and so he is like watching for our tickets.
Okay. Because I definitely think we need to start a more trail here, like a paper trail, so to speak. You know, and I think in dealing with him and calling him, he's bottlenecking this thing and is not resolving the issues. That if we do more, you know, email to support and get a ticket on it, I think it'll be something that will go above him if we keep getting a bunch of them.
Yeah, I agree with
The
that.
question is,
Go ahead.
the question I have is that when you have an issue, even as minor as it is, do we go ahead and send that to support immediately? As opposed to calling them. I mean, which is going to resolve it quicker, is what I'm asking.
Well, we have tried, that's what we have tried to keep an email written where everybody could see, document and everything, and he'll like, I need to talk to you on the phone, and, you know, so anyway, we're trying to do that, and I was pretty insistent in one of the emails to him that I wanted everything in email, but then he still insisted on calling.
Yeah.
So that's we are at least, we're definitely trying to do that.
Well, one thing I would suggest is that if we send an email to support and then he calls us, immediately follow up with an email to him confirming everything that you talked about as well as to support. It might just establish a little more of a record for us.
Okay.
If he's bottlenecked in this problem and it's not getting resolved.
Okay.
Because, you know, like Rick said about worrying about having to pay later, getting an invoice from them after if we go somewhere else. Here we've got plenty of proof backing this up. You know, phone calls, yeah, you can say you had phone calls, but it's kind of hard to prove a lot of them.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, one of the other issues is it being a browser-based software. I know the girls have called, and one of the texts would be like, well, there must be a Windows browser open or anything, something like that, and nobody knows that Windows has been open till the tech actually goes in and messes with it, and you know, that's happening somehow accidentally, and I have asked them to try to disable that completely. You know, because they accidentally hit anything on the keyboard, and it's opening up in the background, but on our screen, we have no idea there's something open on the background. We just have the point of sale screen, so. I mean,
Right.
I'm just throwing that out there because I remember that and I want to add it to my list.
It still shouldn't affect us that much, you know, even if you had another window open.
No, and then that's what I thought too, but the text said that it could mess things up. So I'm like, okay. So he said, you really need to make sure, and I was like, all right. So I've been like, you know, training them how to, you know, get to that, to double check that. But I mean, some of them here are not very used to, you know, regular computers like that. Point of sale, yes, but not something like, you know, that. Where Windows is coming up, you know, like Windows does updates and everything like that. And I don't think that should affect our point of sale system at all, or the Windows or anything going on in the background, but apparently it does, so.
Well, based on what I'm hearing, and based on what I've read from last month's meeting, in the minutes, I mean, I think I agree that we can't do anything right now, but we definitely have, an issue that we need to resolve, pretty quickly, so we need to plan ahead for when that happens. What's the rest of the board think?
Well, I'm sorry that she has to deal with these issues until, October, she said when the contract runs out. But I can't see if it's gonna cost us extra to change, I'm afraid she's gonna have to. But I'm like you, document everything so that if they come back to you, you have documentation of everything they said that they would fix and didn't get done on a timely basis. That you can do.
Okay, I will continue to do that then.
Rick, Todd, do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I would just like to see, we threw a lot at Wesley that day, so, with it being, on just a piece of paper that we handed to him and not digital, I'd like to, try to give him a chance. He seems like he is all in on trying to make this right with us. Like I said, he is a salesman, so that would be his approach to that, but I do think, hopefully we can get it to a point where it's not, constant headaches operating until October, and, but I would like to caution that, maybe some of these issues or some of these concerns we have might come up with the other vendor. So I would, recommend that Lori spend some time in the stores running with that other vendor that has the same, back office or the same system as us in the back, just to make sure that's what works best for the ABC store going forward.
Yeah, and I have been keeping on top of that. There's his system is also not browser based, and nobody from his place has access to get into my inventory. So that's anyway. I'll be patient.
I will disagree with you on that statement. He has access to get into your inventory because he showed us all the people's ABC stores while he was here doing his sales presentation. So,
Right, but not.
I understand that it's not the same, but it is possible.
Right.
Plus, he said he had just hired another person as well, so that an additional person has that access.
Is that Danny?
It is.
Hi, Danny.
Okay. Welcome, Danny. I thought I heard a different voice. All right. Well, in that case, I mean, I think we just need to keep moving on and just documenting what we can until we get to it and continue with the recommendations from the board here and from Jackie, and then kind of move forward with it like we're talking.
Okay.
Agreement?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. If there's no more discussion on that issue, we'll move on to new business. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank Todd for all the time he's put into working with Jackie and Laurie on this. We appreciate Todd.
Sure did.
Nope, no problem.
Right. And that being said, let's move on to new business. The first item is the presentation of the updated contract between Youngsville ABC Board and the town of Youngsville. I'm assuming, Phil, you want to talk about this?
Yes, sir, just for a couple seconds. I just want to let everybody know that this is a modification that essentially sets a flat rate. Just basically, it's $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month. That includes everything all together. So that would be Emily's services, my services, the public works team, and law enforcement services as well. So that's just for your consideration. This is just a draft. So if you have any questions or concerns about this document, I am happy to address those at any point, whether individually or as a group at your next meeting. But just let me know if you have any questions.
Phil, I will say.
Any board members have a question at this time? I'm sorry?
We need to be careful. including law enforcement in that? Because law enforcement is part of the, like, there's a set percentage that's required to be passed to law enforcement, and so I would just, like, be careful including that in your lump sum total.
Sure, I would encourage you to look at there's some language at the bottom of the scope of services in the contract that basically says that the $12,000 isn't above any statutorily required distribution. So if you're uncomfortable with the language, then just let me know. But I appreciate the comment and certainly appreciate you mentioning it.
Okay.
Board members, do you have any comments at this time?
I don't.
What will be the total we pay this year, Jackie?
Bill, would this agreement be in effect for this fiscal year, or is it for the next fiscal year?
I think we can have this be in effect for this fiscal year. I think we probably, just take a look at the total number of hours that the public works team and everybody else, other additional expenses that we've had for this year. To answer your question, Rick, I would probably say between $12,000 and $15,000 for this year on top of the statutorily required amount. But I'm gonna have to get with Jackie closer to the end of the fiscal year, and we can nail down that number and make sure that we get it to you.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right, I heard the board members. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't have any questions, but I haven't read everything in detail, and I'd like a couple of opportunities to do so. So if we could put this on the agenda for next month for analyzing at that time, give us some time to go through it and just to ensure that there's no questions or concerns.
Yeah, I was going to recommend, that's what I was getting ready to recommend myself, to have everybody read it over. You've got a copy, I haven't seen your email. Read it over, and let's put this on the agenda for next month to, to make a decision on. So if I could get a motion to table this till next month's discussion, I'd appreciate it.
Motion.
Okay, motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll move on then to the next discussion of the fiscal year 2021 budget request. So we'll kick that back to Jackie.
I was just trying to, like, big picture thinking, figure out, and it sounds like all of this is completely up in the air right now, but are we thinking we're moving? Are we thinking we're leasing another building? Are we trying to build a building? Like, those are all, and I understand that we can do budget amendments, but just like for planning purposes, what would that look like? What do you guys want to see?
That's a tough question, because I think with this economy and where things are going right now, it's kind of a situation where it's hard to make a decision really what we want, but I know we need to do something. I'm personally, I'll just say my point of view, I'm more and more into the shopping center and doing something with the property, but then again, I want to wait and hear what options we have for that property then. So it's kind of hard, to put this in saying, yeah, this is what we're going to do until we all can sit down and agree on something. I'm curious what everybody else's thoughts are.
And
Any comments or concerns?
if we move to the shopping center, like, do we expect a huge, this is kind of like, it's hard for me to like put together a budget number. So if we move to the shopping center, do we expect a significant growth in sales to cover some of that extra rent expense? I know that, I think somebody said that there were some studies done, but just like, how much do we think that number is going to go up?
Jackie,
I think it's hard to put that.
Jackie, I don't think you ought to try to budget anything for the next fiscal year going up there. It's gonna have to be a budget amendment once we
Okay.
have all the details. I just don't think that we can do anything between now and the end of June 30th, not with this virus thing going on.
Okay, so basically next year's budget will pretty much just be a continuation of kind of where we are this year, not expecting any great changes in that. If we decide to do something, then we will, do a budget amendment at that time.
Yes, if we do anything as far as moving up to the Food Line Shopping Center without selling our existing store, we're gonna have to incur probably $400,000 in debt, so that's gonna be a complete, you have to address that when it's time to address it.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, at this point, I think the only main thing we see that would be different is obviously the point of sale system. You know, but that's really going to be just kind of a flip, in my opinion.
It's not a huge number, so, okay.
Right. Yeah,
we
so that's
kinda
not
what
something
I
really
was
new.
trying to- Yeah, that was where I was trying to go, is like, what, do you guys see anything big, or want anything big? And it sounds like it could be, but there's no way to budget for that right now, so,
The big thing is the location, and then, you know, the POS system is probably the second. I don't see anything else unless somebody else thinks there's something involved there that I'm not seeing.
If I could throw something out there, if we're gonna still be here a while, it's been several months since I mentioned this, but we would still like an updated security system, cameras outside and all of that. We had one quote, I think it was $4,200 to $4,500, and somebody said that whoever did the police department's cameras and all, they were supposed to get me that company's number so I could try to get a quote from them. But I mean, it's, you know, we do have something right now, but I just want to throw that out there.
okay.
Hey, Laurie,
That's definitely something we ought to look at if we're going to be there.
Laurie, why don't you think of things that you feel like you're going to need capital-wise for the next year, and share those with Jackie, and she can put them in the budget, and we can approve them or not approve them at the next meeting.
All right.
Lori,
And whatever you do,
the security system, if you could.
Laura, whatever you think of, copy me also on that email.
Okay, and that's Sam talking?
Yeah, that's Sam.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Lori, I was just going to ask if you said that you need contact information for the town's security provider. I'm happy to do that. If you could also say what you have personally and what you need as far as, you know, do you want 4 cameras? You know, do you want cameras on each side of the building? Do you want window alarms, door alarms? If you could specify all those different things to the extent that you would have preference, then that will help us make sure we're comparing apples to apples when it comes to the quote.
Yeah. Just for I talked about that before you became in as administrator and all that. So.
Hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but I have to run. I have a meeting I have to walk into here, so I apologize. But hope you guys all have a good month. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, see you guys.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, since that's, we discussed that, we'll go on, I guess, and move right on into, unless there's no further business, let me ask on that first.
I think it's good. I got
All right.
the direction I
I got a
needed.
question.
Sure.
I don't know where it falls into any of these other things. I've had someone who asked me, or who told me that they heard that a lot of the restaurants are asking the liquor stores to buy back their inventory. Are we being asked to do that?
No. We only have one mixed beverage, and they have not asked us to do that. They have made a purchase almost 2 weeks before all this happened, so they probably already pretty much depleted what they had.
Okay.
Our mixed beverage was significantly less in March.
Yes.
And I also
It would
had,
be, it's,
yeah, and had somebody asked me if we were closing, and I said, no.
There is we have been fielding phone calls from that. There is fake news, hoax, whatever, floating around on Facebook that McCory said that all liquor stores were closing today as of 5 o'clock. So it's, there's all kinds of misinformation out there that we have been very much trying to field, so.
Never fail.
until we make that decision, that's our decision, so.
Yes, that is, the ABC commissioner said that, you know, unless the governor explicitly says ABC stores close, it's up to the board whether we close or not, so. I know Johnson County, they had 2 clerks that possibly have been, they're waiting on tests to come back, and they are gonna be closing that store if it comes back positive, is what I read today, you know. That was on WRAL, if they were accurate or not, but.
Well, whatever we do, we need to make sure we're looking out for the protection of the staff and the customers. So we just need to keep an eye on that, and we can kind of do, like you did the special meeting, this past month, to make a decision. So I don't know if we're to that point yet where we need to do anything unless, we need to discuss that.
Since you brought that up, I had an original sign up that I have since changed to a more very direct sign 2 days ago, because we just had people coming in here coughing and being I don't know how to put it, but being very unhygienic, and so I have put a more direct sign on the entrance door, and we may possibly go to having the customers bag their own bottles. So,
I don't think that's a bad idea.
there's some people find this, you know, very funny, and I don't know, I don't want to go into details, but, you know, 99% of the public's great, some of them are not.
Well, we need to make decisions to do what we think is right for the staff and for the customer, so that's our decision. If that's something we want to do, then we need to do that. You know, even like I was reading the minutes from the special meeting, and I think something was discussed about curbside, and I've looked around and kind of seen where there's some stuff on curbside if somebody is sick and you can bar them from the door. You know, that's a possibility that you have to do, and you help them say, look, you got to understand, you're coughing, you know, we don't want you in here, but we'll get you what you need.
Yeah, I have it where if they're sick, whether it's a runny nose or whatever, if they, you know, because some people think it's just this, or they'll say, well, it's just pneumonia, and you know, it's like, we don't want any kind of contagious stuff coming in here, and we've entertained the thought of trying to just wait on people in the parking lot, but there's some issues with that, safety issues, and we're trying to, if we did a limit of people coming in the store, then with our parking, we're worried about, you know, everything getting backed up and people. We had a clerk that also works in Franklinton. Her and one of the other clerks were, one of the customers tried to run them over in the parking lot. That particular person, waiting on the Franklinton Police Department's report, if they can figure out who he is. They said that he was a regular customer, but he was always kind of weird. But he was mad because they closed at 8:30. And that's somebody that as soon as I get his information, I'm going to request that he is banned from this store, because if he's banned from Franklinton, then he'll be coming here. We don't want anybody like that around here.
Right. We don't need that.
No, and I do not feel comfortable with my clerks going out, you know, in the dark and everything else in the parking lot taking orders or anything like that. So I have left it up to them, currently left it up to them, what they feel comfortable with. If they want to, if they have enough people to somebody can man the door, they can limit the amount of customers in here. But I do, at this time, I definitely think I want to move to letting the customers bag their own.
Board, would
thoughts on that?
As long as they're pulling out the bags, or could they just?
Yeah, the bags are right there on the counter, and they can, I mean, it's very, very easy for them to access it. Some stores, Lori Lee sent out a bunch of pictures. Some stores have actually installed plexiglass, you know, but the way our system is set up, I'm not sure how we'd be able to do that, but.
I see excuse me, I see a two-edged sword with people doing their own bagging. You're not touching the bags, they're touching all the, other people are touching all the bags. So the person behind them sees, somebody else touching all the bags. I wouldn't want to touch the bags after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not really wanting to touch the bags either, but I mean, we're doing it. I mean, it's the same, you know, we have people constantly having to touch the screen and.
Oh, you have more of a control over it.
If the customer is bringing up the alcohol and sitting it on the counter, you have the handheld scanner where you hold it, you can hold it, scan everything. So you don't even have to pick up the alcohol, correct?
Correct.
So, and you have the bag there.
Right on the counter, yes.
Right. But
You can just take it and drop it over the bottle and flip the bottle over and hand it to the customer. You still don't have to touch the bottle.
Hold on, please. If you open the bag and just set the empty bag there on the table or on the counter and let them say, okay, you know, put your alcohol in this bag and let them do it. All you're doing is opening a clean bag. Nobody's touching the bag except for you or the clerk. And you're opening the bag and setting it there for them to then do their own bottling. That
Yeah,
way
somewhat.
everyone's touching the alcohol and no one else.
Okay. We can do that. Some of the bags, you know, if they buy a pint, the bag, you can't just open it and set it there. But, I mean, we can suggest that. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't bottle it if they insisted. I mean, I'm just leaving that option for the customer to do, because we have had some customers said they wanted to bag their own. They didn't want to be, they didn't want us to touch the bag. So, I mean, you know.
I think if you give them that option and you hand them the bag, I don't think they're gonna have a problem with your handing the bag to them. Be honest with you. And that way they know, you know, if they have the trust in you that you're coming in and your staff is clean, you know, and then they're just handing them a bag, I don't think that's a major issue. I think they'd go ahead and put it in the bag and do it themselves. That way you're not grabbing the bottle that they've been touching and carrying through the store to up to you. So I think it's a little bit different.
You
I
know,
like
we do
that
keep
idea.
hand.
Hand them the bag.
Okay, we do keep hand sanitizer right beside the credit card terminals, because we wipe down those in between customers too. But they also have that because a lot of them have to sign with their finger and everything. So.
If you let customers see you using that hand sanitizer, I think they'll be happy.
Oh, they see. Yes. Yes.
They'll appreciate it. Okay?
Okay.
So, you know, at this point in time, I mean, I would, you know, leave it up to you what you think your customer's going to go with. That's my opinion. I don't know about the rest of the board, but, you know, if you don't want to bag them, that's fine. That's your decision.
We'll continue to bag them.
All right then. All right, let me go on then to reports and other business. I'll start off. I want to thank everybody for taking care of everything last month while I was kind of non-existent between travels and a couple of surgeries. I was kind of out of the way, and I assure all of you I'm going to be as ugly when I get back as I was when I left. So I'll be there. But other than that, I have no other business at this time. So I'm going to kind of go around the table how you normally sit. Start with Rick. Rick, you have anything for us today?
No, Lori, I appreciate what you and your team are doing. Hopefully, as we keep our eyes open for Lysol and stuff like that, we'll be sure to drop some off to you.
We very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else, Rick?
No, I mean,
All right, we'll move on, Nick. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Go ahead, Rick. You were saying something.
oh, no, I'm sorry. I said no. Thanks.
Oh, okay, all right. We'll move on then to Danny. You got something for us today?
No, I'm good. Hope
All
everyone's
right.
well.
Mary Margaret, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'm done.
All right. All right, we'll move on to Jackie.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Move on to Lori. Lori, you have anything for us in addition?
No, I'm good too.
All right. Emily?
I'm good here, thank you.
All right. Phil, you got anything for us?
Just a couple things. Lori, I just wanted to confirm that you received the shirts and the name tags that I left for you at Town Hall, is that right?
Yes, I have that, and I was going to talk to you about that whenever you wanted to have. You said you want to see me for about 5 minutes or something. Was that today or?
I'll call you afterwards and we can coordinate that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then just to let everybody know that we had a first batch of shorts come in, and I anticipate Lori might have some feedback based upon what she just stated, but just know that we're working on that. I also wanted to update the board. You had requested that I get in touch with Lori Lee at State ABC Commission about the percentage of revenue clause in our contract with the lessor. The state has expressed that that is not allowed, so just wanted to let you know that we just have to do a traditional fixed payment lease. And then a brief update on the North Carolina Department of Transportation meeting that we had on March 16th. We just wanted to let you know that they expressed that the traffic circle plans for the intersection of Holden Road and NC 96 or Main Street, that's not funded. They did provide us some plans of a similar traffic circle in a different location. So at least when we continue to have discussions with developers about that project in that location, we'll be able to use those plans as a template for determining, what potential right-of-way may need to be dedicated if we're, going to be developing that site, moving the curb back, things of that nature. But no additional improvements are planned for that intersection at this time. And then the only other thing that we discussed is there is a possibility in the town's land use and comprehensive plan. We did have a crosstown boulevard that went south of town, kind of through some of the vacant properties that are near the K-Flex area. And we discussed the possibility of potentially making NC 96 that road, and then currently what's currently Main Street, making that just kind of a smaller state road. So that would kind of get all that truck traffic south of town, and motorists could be consumed. So that's being investigated, and the team is currently participating in the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is our regional metropolitan planning organization's Northeast Area Study. And so this Northeast Area Study that's happening this year is going to study the possibility of that crosstown boulevard that's south of town becoming NC 96 and a couple of other things. So as these studies continue to develop, I'll certainly provide the board with updated information. And that's all I have, sir.
Great. Well, thank you very much. All right, if there's no further business, we have a closed session planned, so I'll go ahead and close this out for the closed session and move to that as soon as everybody that's involved in that meeting is online.
All right.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys. Y'all stay safe.
Thank everybody. Appreciate you meeting today. Okay.
Still need a
Let me
motion.
find out who all's still here.
I do need a motion to go into closed session.
I'm sorry?
I will need a motion to go into closed session when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Request a motion to go to closed session.
I make a motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Rick says aye. Rick says aye.
Okay. All right. All those opposed? All right, we'll go into closed session. All right, we're back in that case, this session is closed, and we're back into our regular schedule, and I'm going to go ahead and request a motion, unless there's any other additional business we need to discuss.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, then we're adjourned. Everybody, I appreciate you meeting today. Phil, I appreciate you helping us out here. I look forward to hearing from you on this stuff next meeting. All right?
Yep.
Everybody stay safe, practice your social distancing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.